afternoon, everyone. Kind of bring y'all a bit of evening cheer.
If it ain't about money, I don't want to hear it. If it's bullshit, I don't want to hear me.
Y'all see the topic.
These ones that fear me. Only thing I need is keep my pistol and my privacy. Only thing I need is keep my pistol and my privacy. Only thing I need is keep my pistol and my privacy.
The question is, and I'm not trying to, I'm not attempting to deflect you away from your chosen Democratic Party allegiances. Not anyone at all. You know, this is a question. This is a question that I'm asking about ideologies and the way that Black American people did things once upon a time, as opposed to, you know, the way we do them currently. Are Black Americans traditionally and ideologically conservative? Now, I guess a lot of people, when they hear the word conservative, they immediately think of the white man, the alabaster man, the Republican, the racist, you know, I mean, and that, and I guess that's understandable, you know, because there have been many white, many alabaster colored, Republican and racist people that identify as conservative. But there's also a certain group of Democrats who are also white in color, white or alabaster. Alabaster is synonymous with white, you know. Even though they may be Democrats, they also are very much, maybe not as overtly as the conservative white Republican racist, but just as racist nonetheless. Whether you believe that or not, I can provide plenty of evidence to the veracity of that. So I guess what really needs to do in order for you to have to identify whether or not you are something, or whether you fit the specifications or the details of something, the first thing that you should do is look up the defining terms. Now, I typed into the Google machine these are the words. I said, what are conservative beliefs? And we tapped the Google button. And I'm going to do my best to read a little bit. You know, I have to worry about driver safety, of course. Conservatives, they advocate low taxes. That sounds good to me. Free markets. I mean, I guess if I had a business and I wanted to be accessible to whatever markets that may want to purchase my product or service, I would want those markets to be with as little constraints as possible. Deregulation. You know, a lot of people that I know, they may I don't know if this is the same. That may not be because it's illegal. The smoking of marijuana, you know, I guess there could be legal regulations on marijuana, and you know, I guess also there are other regulations. I guess what I need to do is define regulation and also look into the details of what regulations that might affect the African American, Black, Negro, or nigger folk like myself in a detrimental fashion. Let's see here. I'm about to get a stop sign, so I'll have a second here. Let's see. Reduce government spending, government debt. Now, these past few months, now, most of many of the African American, well, no, I shouldn't say African American. When you say African American, you can also include those who identify as not illegal, as immigrants of immigrant status, naturalized immigrant status, or those who have traceable descent to both parents being of immigrant descent, of non-American descent. Now, in regards to Americans that are descendants of enslaved Americans, those people in which, from my learning, I've identified themselves as they didn't identify themselves as niggas. They were identified as those who had them held in captivity and utilized their muscles and ingenuity in order to build the foundation of this country, and also increase their own individual and family and generational wealth. Government spending. Now, currently, there's been a lot of government spending by way of military aid to a country called Ukraine. Now, this country is what you call a sovereign country, a sovereign nation, or what have you. And I don't know what particular interest that could directly be traced back to someone like myself as a black person who identifies as a descendant of those people who were enslaved in this country. I really don't understand how sending billions of dollars to another country in which I don't see any imminent benefit in regards to ourselves receiving. I don't know. You see my goddamn signal on, bitch. Don't blow at me. These motherfuckers always be tripping. But so it's like, well, since these things don't necessarily affect me, or I don't really see the benefit for these things myself. I wonder, well, as we go through the process of voting, they say the vote is important. Those who do not vote, shame your ancestors and have no right to say anything in regards to the running of this country and the things that happen in this country if you do not vote. So it's like, well, in the terms of government spending, that they're from the beliefs and based on evidence. A lot of us people who identify as Black Americans, those who are descendants of those who were enslaved, we believe, based on the evidence of our generations, and I guess the generational lacking and dysfunction that we've experienced, we believe that there is a debt that this country owes us in form of reparations. So, if there was any support by us for government spending, and we're not talking about government entitlements like welfare, Section 8, and food stamps and things like that, because those don't benefit Black people specifically. Those largely benefit other groups, other racial and ethnic groups. And considering the fact that a lot of these people are coming into our country from other countries by way of military occupation in their country, or just the fact that they seek what they call a sanctuary, political or legal sanctuary in this country due to things that might be happening in their own country. I really don't understand why we would be too keen in that type of government spending if it's not directly benefiting us. But social conservatives, government debt. Now, government debt, the frustration of government debt is because, once again, a lot of times this debt is points to the fact, points to things and expenses that didn't necessarily have anything specifically to do with the African American, black, Negro, or nigger folk like myself. So government debt is government debt. And I mean, I guess ideally, wherever you live at, you know, let's say for example, if you had an apartment, and I mean, I guess if you lived in a house or an apartment and you had roommates, and you had your money and they were in debt, you know, as part of the whole body collective of the household, you know, you wouldn't want to see any type of debt within the governance of the house. So I guess, you know, if we want to look broadly at how government debt might affect us, then I guess we can go there. But let me move on. Social conservatives see traditional social values often rooted in familialism. I guess that's either things that are familiar or things that are related to family. And religion as being threatened by secularism, and moral relativism. Now those are two mouthfuls of words that I really. Secularism, I guess that would be, you know, that the type of anything goes situations where underneath the guise of freedom, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes those things. There's one thing to be. I guess I need to look up that word. I don't even need to go too far into that word, but I guess that would tie into. Jeez, I hate to say this, man, but I guess it does kind of tie into certain things such as gay marriage, or you know, I guess once upon a time, it had to do with the fact that. Yeah, and this is I'm going with you know, this traditional secularism. I mean, I guess rooted in families. It's not traditionalism, but socialism, social values. Not too long ago, and I would even say as early as prior to Barack Obama's presidency, the Black American person wasn't too keen. You know, I mean, I guess we didn't stand up, and I guess you could also use the evidence from how they attempted to make a vote for gay marriage in California, and how after it didn't pass in California on the state level, the Democrats in California commenced to blaming the black people because they didn't support it. That's why it failed. So, you know, prior to Obama, there wasn't too much support for things that were, you know, marriage was defined as marriage between a man and a woman, as Barack Obama said before he decided to, you know, put up the rainbow lights around the White House. Now, like I always say, now as you hear me talk about this and discuss it, I'm speaking on this as from an ideological, from an analytical standpoint. Like I say, I'm not a homosexual person. I'm a heterosexual male. But what you do in the privacy of your home and what you choose to do with whomever you choose to do it with, as long as it doesn't bother me and the way I live, it's fine and dandy with me. I can't sit up here and lie and say that I don't know people who are homosexual or practice the homosexual lifestyle or have a homosexual identity, LGBTQ identity. And several of those people I love, you know, I definitely lay down my life for at least two I can name off the top of my head immediately. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about our black people traditionally conservative. So rooted in social conservatives see traditional social values often rooted in familialism and religion as being threatened by secularism and moral relativism. They also see a link that has 7 core principles of conservatism. Now, for conservation of time, I'm just going to go through this list quickly. 1 is individual freedom. 2 is limited government. 3 is the rule of law. You know, I mean, all things considered, you know, we have some form of, I guess this was included in what we call our culture not no snitching laws, no snitching guideline. It's not a law, a no snitching guideline. We all know that when it comes down to it, it's every nigga for theyself, or every person for theirself. At the end of the day, if it comes down to it, there's not too many people that follow that what you might consider a copying of the mafioso. La Cosa Nostra, a copying of the Italians, the no snitching rule. You don't snitch on the crew or whatever. Peace through strength. And so basically, what this appears to say is that there's peace through strength. If you have a strong military and you have strong borders, then there's no you could easily realize peace, because no one is going to be willing to bother you, due to the fact that you have a strong military, you have strong borders, and you are a strong nation. So you are able to appreciate peace. Fiscal responsibility. Now, fiscal responsibility in a household, once upon a time, the African American, the black person, the descendant, I guess we can go for all black people, but most definitely specifically on the descendants of slaves, the descendants of American slavery. There was times when we had very little, and then when you think about it, right now we have very little. So it's like, well, and when you have very little, you have to conserve. You have to be careful on what you spend. You have to be careful on how much you consume. So you're fiscally conservative, because what you have to do is you have to watch every dollar and every dime that you spend. Now this level of fiscal conservative by way of government, I guess, is speaking upon government spending, but we're talking about as individual people and the way that we live, the way that we live or we have lived, are black people traditionally ideologically conservative. Free markets. I think I discussed free markets. That's number 6. And the last one is human dignity. Now, of course, African American, black peoples, Negro people, nigga folks like myself, as much as we go on the little, I shouldn't say little, as much as we like to protest and talk about how our rights have been violated, and how people treat us as the second class citizens at this point is pretty much the immigrants. Third and fourth class citizens in our own country, where we're denied, like I said before, like when it comes time to make our vote, and we make perceivably we should be able to make a demand. It should be a quid pro quo circumstance in regards to voting. Like if you're going to cast your vote for a politician, that politician should be able to have a need conversation with you, or a needed or what they call these a town hall meeting, where they're able to tell you specifically what they're able to do for you, or what they're able to attain for you, the means in which they're going to do it, and what they need from you in order to make that possible. But this is just a question I was asking. I don't want to beleaguer the point. I don't want to make this too lengthy of a video, because I'm on my way into this restaurant to get me something to eat. Matter of fact, let me take this off. Let me go back and turn it around. I'm about to go into Mr. Submarine. Get me something to eat, baby. Nah, that's Sharky's. Sharky's and Mr. Submarine are connected together. Get my damn key. I'm about to go on Mr. Submarine and get me a chicken fillet. So, Brother Pratt, I appreciate you sliding through with me. And with that being said, you ready to go in here and make my order? I'll take care. Peace and love.